Hi there, my name's Denise, and I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience with Gita and her healing. I first met Gita maybe about 3 years ago, and I heard about her through word of mouth, really, from other friends who'd had good experiences with Gita. I was possibly a little bit skeptical about the healing process, mostly because I just didn't understand it very well, and I kind of need to understand things to believe that they work. But Gita explained it to me, and it is very scientific. So I was happy to give it a go with a very open mind. I didn't feel particularly unwell or have any illness I could sort of describe in detail, but I was under a lot of stress for various other reasons at the time, and I just felt it could benefit me in lots of ways. So I had one healing session with Gita, and I had different experiences throughout it, feelings of dead weight in my limbs, and but one feeling in particular which I wasn't expecting, which was a very strong feeling in the top of my head, in my forehead, a feeling like a perfect ball, a small ball, almost like more like a vacuum than a pressure. And afterwards I discussed it with Gita, but she explained to me that the healing just goes where it's needed, and we don't always know where it's needed, but it goes where it's needed. And I began to think over the next few days about the fact that I was having no headaches, which were just part of my normal life, and I'd become so used to them that I didn't even think about them. They were gone, and the feeling that I got in the top of my head must have had something to do with a bad head injury I'd had maybe 6 months previous. I'd had a bad fall and taken a bang to my head, but it had healed up, and I thought no more about it until after this healing session. Following on from that, and just a general feeling of wellness and being better able to cope with the things that were going on in my life, I recommended Gita to some other members of my own family. 2 of my own children and my husband have all visited Gita and have all had very positive results in various ways. Some of them not so obvious, they're slower healers. But nobody was particularly sick in any way. It was for general improvement in health and wellness, and mentally and physically. During this recent summer, I had a situation where a very close friend of my family's, a Filipino girl, living in Ireland, had a son who was really, really sick in the Philippines, following a mosquito bite. And he was in a situation in hospital where she was receiving phone calls in Ireland to say on this particular evening he may not make it through the night. His platelets were extremely low. So I rang Gita, and she very kindly did a healing session on this boy, a healing session over distance, which is equally effective. And the boy made it through the night, and astounded the doctors the following morning. His platelets were back up, and he was also receiving medical attention, but there was not a huge amount of hope for him. So I truly believe that Gita played a huge part in saving this young boy's life. She's a beautiful person, and she's a lovely person to be around, and I just couldn't recommend enough, if you're thinking about having a session or what it's all about, you've very little to lose by trying it and so much to gain. So that's my recommendation, and I couldn't recommend her any more highly.